And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a full panel for you today. Alex and Tom all joining us. First of all, Tom, I know you probably be this. What do you think of the Newcastle result? Well needed. I think we were all going, oh my God, what the hell's happening after the Napoli game? But I think we're all feeling a little bit better now. Not 100%, but it's good we finally got that result.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how many how many wins we've actually scraped together this season, to be fair, because we all know it's been pretty dire and we haven't been playing well, but at the same time, like, we're still doing okay. We're doing okay. And but this one was a bit more convincing. It was actually kind of from start to finish a convincing performance. Really good to see. A large part of it was how bad Newcastle are. And we have to take that into account. But at the same time, we played our strongest team on Thursday in the Europa League. Obviously, it didn't go away. I don't want to reflect on it too much, but I was a little bit worried that playing Sunday with a very similar team against a fresh team who desperately need a win and beating us at the KP last season, I was a bit concerned. So it was nice just to see us play that well. And I think we do need to give Rodgers and the players some credit for yesterday because there was some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, and we saw again. It could have been the performance where it was going downhill because it felt like that. And I mean, we do have to give again. It is a win against a poor Newcastle side, but at the same time, was there anybody that stood out for you in the match?
Yeah, I think, as you said, it's a Newcastle side, but at the moment, just you can play what's in front of you, and it just a win, and that's the crucial thing. And I think the clean sheet as well. I think that's bigger than scoring 4 goals, if I'm honest, a clean sheet. But you said about individual performances, Dewsbury Hall, he's gone under the radar. I thought he had a brilliant game. Obviously, Maddison getting back to his best. Tielemans, who I thought looked well off it on Thursday, I thought he controlled that midfield. And then Daka, I know he scored a tap-in, but his overall game was brilliant. The way that he was pressing from the front, and I think his energy is infectious because you see him running and chasing down every dead ball, which in the way that Vardy used to do. Daka does that now, and players follow that lead and take the role. Because our first goal, I know it was a very soft pen, and I'm sure we'll get onto that later on. That came from us pressing high, from Daka leading the press from the start, and then Maddison with a little bit of a tumble, should we say. There wasn't much in it, was there? But no, there was a lot of very good individual performances across the board.
Yeah, again, there was loads of performances. It seems like I thought we were going to pick one, but you picked all of them. Alex, is there any particular one you want to go for as well that Ant mentioned, or anybody separate? Because there was, in my opinion, it was just good. Again, I agree with Ant in it's good to get a win, good to get a clean sheet, but it was just a nice performance against, yes, a weak side, but it's something. We've been crying out for just anything at this point.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're talking about Newcastle, who are playing at a championship level, level of quality of play. But at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points. And, Ant said it perfectly. You saw a lot of individual performances that were really, really strong. You see what, Tielemans comes back in, he was looking like his old self, before his injury. Maddison just seems like he's just continuing on the pace that he's been continuing playing at. And then, you have Daka, who I've always been a huge fan of, and I'm glad that he's been given that opportunity in the Premier League because he really has been able to capitalize off that. But if I was to choose anyone, I would definitely give it to Yuri. Yuri, I think, really came in and really dominated that midfield and really controlled it and shut down the Newcastle, midfield and offense for the entire game.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think I agree, and we've said Yuri's performances, but I think again, as Sondrex puts in there, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I think it was just Tom. He was just fantastic, and it was a good player, and we wanted to mention it kind of in the post match how he took his first goal against Napoli was fantastic, but he's come into the team. Bearing in mind, he's not played that much Premier League football, and he's just absolutely smashed it, in my opinion. Of course, you've got the likes of Tielemans there, you've got the likes of Maddison there. We will come on to them in a bit, but a special shout out to give to him just because of the lack of experience that he's got and how he's handling himself. It's like he's been in the Premier League for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think he really has been like a breath of fresh air the last few weeks, and I know that like all of us guys on here have sort of been calling for him for a while, but it's difficult when everyone's fit. You know, it was difficult for him to find his way into the team, but having been kind of given a chance for injuries and stuff, you know, he's absolutely took his chance, and within the space of a few weeks or a few appearances, he's already looking like you know, a pretty nailed on first team player now at the moment, and also his flexibility, because I think, you know, he seems to be able to play anywhere in the midfield pretty much, and you can rely on him to do a job. Obviously, he's more of an attacking player, but it's the energy he brings, and it's really noticeable that somebody who just gets about the pitch and has that much enthusiasm and always wants to be on the ball and keep things moving, you know, it's really noticeable, and I think he's really made a difference since coming in. So fair play to him. It's you know, him and Daka, I think, are in the same boat. They've sort of been sat there biding their time, to sort of taking their chances when they've been getting them in the Europa League and stuff. But now they're really sort of giving Brendan something to think about, because it's going to be hard to drop them based on that performance.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to drop all of them, any of them. But the thing is, they're all I just counted the number of like central midfielders there were in that team, and just went, oh my god, that was a bit scary. Obviously, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, Tillemans. Then you got. I know that Dundee was playing centre back, but he can play in the CDM position. Samori was there as well. In the first half, I don't know about you, Ant, but I just felt like they were getting in each other's way a little bit, and then the goal went in. Seemed like they clicked, and they just kind of like. They knew what they were doing, but it just took that confidence in that first goal. I think the fans really felt that. Thank God we've got that first goal as well.
Yeah, it felt like from in the ground, the way that I felt it anyway, it was almost like a weight was off the players' shoulders, because they've been pushing for that goal, and then it came, and then I think they started playing with a little bit more freedom. But in terms of, you say, there's so many players sort of within the middle of the park, and I think that almost suits Maddison in a way, because it means he can float around and doesn't have to. I know if you look at the team sheet, he was officially on the left-hand side as a left winger, but he was roaming all around. He wasn't as that like set left winger that he sometimes played as before. He had like a free roam, which I think really suited him well, because you saw him picking up pockets of space. Like for I believe it was the second or the third goal, the Daka goal, where he picked the ball up, a beautiful outside foot pass over the top, which the vision to be able to see that for Barnes was ridiculous, and then to play it across to Daka. So I think if Brendan Rodgers gets his system right, it could be something really difficult to deal with for opposition, because it could really overload that midfield area, and we could really win a lot of the midfield battles.
Yeah, no, definitely that's the case. Alex, I mean, we've got to get on to Patterson. Actually, I've just seen somebody in the comments below as well. Antonius, great to see you, my friend. And also, I'm rocking his merch. It's kind of a strange one as well. So great. It's so nice. So if you want to create your own, I've just been wearing it every day. So I've got it in the package when it came home, and it's just so comfortable. So yeah, if you want to buy that, go to the Greek Foxes. Apart from that, over to the Canadian Fox. Do you want to talk about Daka? How's that? How do you think he's done? Because I think mad about Fox has put out a statistic where he's one of the most informed players. He's got, I think he was involved in like over the last few games, like 7 goals and 3 assists or something crazy. And he's been off the bench. But when he's called upon, he's looking fantastic.
I really do think that what we're seeing in Daka is the replacement that we've been looking for when it comes to Vardy. You know, the two of them are. It's scary how closely the two of them play. It's almost identical in some ways. And I think the way that you look at it with Daka is that I think at the start of the season, a lot of people expected that he was just going to come right into the starting 11 and just start playing. But with the way that Vardy was playing, the way that Nacho was playing last season, it came to the point where the possibility of him probably playing in cups and in Europe were the most likely scenario. But the way that he's playing right now, it's hard to even consider sitting him. And that's nothing that's nothing towards Vardy, that's nothing towards Nacho. But when you have a player like his caliber playing at the level that he's playing at, and the success that he's bringing, it's hard to sit him. And I think that's just something that is such a positive to have. It's having that second option or having that third option as your striker. Imagine we've talked about the fact that if Nacho can really kick it off, and he does better in a 2 at the front, so who's to say that you put Daka and Nacho together and they just really kick off together when Vardy needs a break. There's so many possibilities with this, and I think having Daka at such a young age, it's something that's going to be really great to see in the coming, not the in the coming of the season, but as we progress next season and throughout.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just going to take time. Again, it's going to take time, but the thing is, what we've seen already is frightening, as in like frighteningly positive. Obviously, one of the issues we have, obviously coming back to your Turner's comment, is defensively. Castagna was, I don't know what happened for that one. I don't know if you thought the same, Tom. When he was going in, I was thinking, oh, I saw it all in slow motion. I was like, is this actually going to happen? Is this actually are we going to be the laughing stock on Match of the Day? And then luckily, we've got Casper, but we know what Casper is. He's a shot stopper, even when it comes off his own player. But that ball going into the back of the net, it was so close.
Yeah, it was actually quite a funny technique by Schmeichel to go with his right foot to clear the outside of his right foot to clear it rather than swiping it with his left. That was just something that I observed, but he did it. He did a fine job in the end. Yeah, I mean, if that had gone in, it would have just been another one of them, and we would have been slating our defense against. But I think yesterday it was our day for getting a clean sheet, and they weren't going to let that go for anything. So we very, very nearly gifted them a clean sheet when they weren't looking like scoring in a million years. But thankfully, it didn't go in. And no, I think defensively, I think Luke Thomas has done well since he's come back. And I think we've all seen from Bertrand's performances that he's just not at the level. So unfortunately for him, I think it's going to be hard for him to play any meaningful games for us now, because we've got Luke Thomas playing well, and we have other options ahead of him too. I do think that obviously Ndidi did really well dropping into centre back. It's funny that our centre defensive midfielder is actually probably our third best centre back or something. But like, obviously Marty's got COVID. It's a shame that Evans got injured, but he's 34. It's not much of a surprise. So I think Marty will probably come back in when he's ready, but Ndidi is a good option to have there, especially now that we can bring Samare into the midfield. So, but I do think that in general, like we say that, we always say we're missing all these players, and but it's no excuse for the performances that we've seen over a long period of time. But at the same time, when you see Tielemans come back into the side, the difference that he makes, like or Barnes, now that he's back up to form, the difference that he's making, it really does make a difference. So I think that when we eventually get our strongest defense back, we will really start seeing some of the real Leicester and what we're capable of.
Yeah, and we've seen it in fits and spurts a little bit in some of the games, but it's not been a consistent run. Hopefully that will be the case, Ant, because again, I'm not trying to get too carried away, but I was just so fed up of saying the same things every week with set pieces. We can't defend, they carve it through our midfield. And it's just, so the fact that, again, I don't want to completely 180 and go, we're back, blah, blah. But there's some positive signs, but surely Tottenham is the litmus test.
It is. I'm not going to go full Arsenal fans and say we've beaten a relegation team, so we're going to go and win the league. But I do really think that playing Newcastle, that was like the perfect time for it, because we were like, say if we'd just dropped out against Napoli on Thursday and then we had like a Chelsea, a Liverpool, or even maybe like an Everton or Palace at home, that could have gone very sour very quickly. So I think it was a perfect fixture. The fact we've got the clean sheet, we also faced 6 corners in that game and we didn't concede from one, which I think that's got to be looked at as a positive.
We need a trophy just for that.
Exactly. So we've got to look at the positives of this game and really try and build on the confidence from it. But I've said this so many times this season. Hopefully this can be a turning point. So I say it. I don't believe it, but I'll say it.
I mean, you've said it more. You've said it. We've all said it. But I don't want to say that. But you've got to prove me wrong that that's the case, because they were there to be beaten. And I think again, shout out to Brad from Leicester Till I Die as well, as put in the comments as well. Mixing of zonal and man marking. To be honest, I didn't really. Did you spot that, Alex? I did. I was just every time the corner go again, I just went because I think that's my natural reaction, just to clench every muscle in my body.
See, I missed the game when it was live, so I had to rewatch it. Even though I know they won 4-0, anytime Newcastle had a corner or any set piece for that matter, I shielded my eyes. I didn't watch it just because I thought it would be sheer horror, and I thought maybe I read the score wrong. But I don't know. It might have helped, but I feel like they may have had that. They might. I'm not trying to remain optimistic. You never know. They may have started to practice. Maybe changing it up in defending. And if that's the case, that'd be that's a positive, because I don't know about you, but I feel like we've been talking about the marking hasn't been working with what we've been using. So hopefully, something will sort itself out. And and I know we're talking about playing Newcastle, and I think Ant said it also said it perfectly there, being like this was the perfect time to do that. Because I think that if we came out and played against any other club, I don't think we would have had a positive result, especially with what happened on Thursday, and then just everything going on. I think what's happened right now is a positive step forward for the club and for the squad, and hopefully they can build off this. And even with all the injuries that have seemingly occurred between that and all the positive tests, hopefully we can figure something out as we head into the craziest little bit before the end of the year.
Yeah, with a depleted squad, and we don't know the players that are currently out with COVID, how well they're going to be come back. Again, I'm hoping for the best. We've seen with Ryan Bertrand that it can have a big effect. Obviously, Nacho, again, I'm a massive fan of his. I'm not sure what's going to... We just don't know. But I'm hoping for the best, because anything can happen. And we're coming up to the busy point now. And that's the thing. When it comes up to, obviously, we'll touch on the Randers game a little bit, but just coming into the Tottenham game, Tom, it's really hard to predict, but it's pretty much likely that they're going to go for the same side. I think from speaking to some Tottenham fans, the game's going ahead. The Thursday game is going ahead, but how are you feeling for that one?
Well, obviously they're in a very similar situation to us, if not worse. They've had a huge COVID outbreak too. But my main thoughts is just that it's really important to kind of try and get some momentum from somewhere, especially at home. So you can look at it both ways. Either they've had a massive rest or they're going to be a bit rusty. It depends which way you want to spin it. But I think that it's just a really important game for us to win, especially, we got a tricky little period over December with, that's followed by Everton away. Then we've got Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, and then Man City away, then Liverpool at home. So, with this kind of depleted squad we got at the moment, that's not an easy run. And we're going to have to try and find a couple of wins from somewhere, or it's going to be back to how we were feeling last week or on Thursday, where everything's gone wrong. But I do think the one positive is the whole Premier League is like a bit of a mess this year. It's so tight. Everyone's beating everyone. And if you just looked objectively at our performances and you didn't know where we were in the table, would you be surprised if I told you we were 8th? Like, I'd be pretty surprised based on... I would guess we'd be about 12th, 13th. So 14, it's just really tight. But we need... Because it's so tight, we need to build up some wins and some points. Because if not, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll find ourselves right in the bottom half again. And it'll be back to square one.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And look at the other teams around us in terms of obviously we're on 22. Tottenham, again, they have 2 games in hand, but they had a terrible run of form. Arsenal, again, had an awful beginning to the season. Manchester United are in 5th, and they had just a poor starting from us, and then kind of carried on. It's really weird, isn't it? And again, I was going to get onto that point later, but Tom's brought it up. We're 8th, and we're not great. How's that happened?
I put a tweet out saying we're dog. How are we 8?
And I tweeted it, and I'm like, how's this happened?
But my thing is, as much as that's true, this is an opportunity for us, as consistent as everyone else is. If we can go on a run now, we can put ourselves in a really good position. So, as Tom says, you could easily drop down the order if you're inconsistent again. There's just as much opportunity to go up the order if the inconsistencies from everyone else carry on. So I think that's the mindset we've got to be looking at in terms of trying to build on this Newcastle result. But as I said about 10 minutes ago, I've said this so many times, and I'm just hoping this time something sticks.
Something at all. Because, Alex, at the moment, the way we're coming into this game, obviously Tottenham will be a tough game. It's a weird... Normally, we're like, we could look at tactical formations. I'm just looking at who's out because of COVID. And that's going to dictate the rest of the game, in my opinion, without sounding too much always down to this kind of RNG factor. But at the same time, it's kind of like this factor that's come in it's gonna massively change how I don't really know how to analyze going into this game.
I don't think you can analyze a game like this. And the reasoning behind it is that everything changes on the daily. You know, who we have available today can change tomorrow, which can change the next day, which can change the next day. We don't know who's going to be actually available on the date of the game. And I think that's the hardest thing to try to figure this out is that, you know, we can look at who we have available at the time and be like, well, you know, this is who we can match up against X and Y. But, you know, come match day, these two lineups can be vastly different. And I think that's the issue that a lot of clubs, you know, across, you know, the entirety of the world right now are having difficulties is that, you know, they're trying to do these matchups and they're like, okay, well, we're ready to go. And then, like, you know, like 24 hours beforehand, they're like, oh, 3 of the guys are out. They're not playing. And it changes everything. And I think that's the hardest thing to really analyze right now is that you can't. You know, you can come up with the best of what you can. You can come up with alternatives. But at the end of the day, you know, whatever happens, and you just have to go with what you got on the day of the match.
Yeah, and again, that'll hopefully, again, we're hoping it'll play into our hands. We'll have to see because, I mean, I don't really know. Again, I was going to hand over to you, Tom, but I don't really know how to analyze this one. So the best thing to do is to hand over to the Conference League. I mean, we've got Randers the next round. Let's be honest, nobody knows who they are. But we had a quick Google of where they are, and I listened to, if you guys want to listen to BBC Radio Leicester as well, they had a guy on from Randers FC who was like telling us about. So really, make sure you check out that one. And yeah, and we'll get on to actually one thing I want to touch on a little bit later. But coming into that, what are your thoughts? I know we talked about Conference League and it's a bit dead, but now the dust has settled. Now we've had that all out of the way. What are your thoughts now?
Do you know what? I think if anything, it's got worse. I think it's actually got worse. I think do you know what? Today, like waking up on a Monday, you just had a good result on the Sunday, you just beating someone 4-0. I had a spring in my step this morning. I didn't realize that the draw was. That's a great comment, but I didn't even realize that the draw was today. Not going to lie, that's how disinterested I've been. So when that came round, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then like it's just the chain of events of obviously us going out in the way that we did, Legia Warsaw missing that penalty, and then Napoli being drawn to Barcelona in the Europa League, and like knowing that that's the fixture we would have had. Like Barcelona, like the best tie in our history. Let's put it straight. The best European tie in our history by a country mile. And on top of that, you could argue they're sort of there for the taking as well, or at least to give them a good game. So to see that, and then an hour later, to be drawn to Randers, I mean, what you couldn't have a bigger difference, could you? Like that's how much that one penalty, or however you want to put it, you know, that's not qualifying. That's the difference, is Randers instead of Barcelona. So I'm a bit depressed by it all, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that, Ant, but I mean, it's Europe. Something. I was saying on another stream, I was like, if you've got gold, it's a bronze tier trophy. So you got gold standard, which is kind of the gold trophy with Champions League. The next tier down, silver, and then the Conference League is kind of like, it's kind of like a bronze medal. So like, thank you for participating if you win.
Can I just add really?
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Sorry. I'll just add really quickly with that. The other problem with the Conference League is that we can't win, because if we beat a team like this and we go through, people are going to be like, "Oh, well done, you beat Randers, congratulations." And if we lose, everybody's going to be like, "Ha ha ha, you lost to Randers." So we're screwed. We are screwed. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, Chris has just put something in the chat, which is something that I mentioned about on Twitter with the ever-moving goalpost, which it says, sooner playing the Danes than Barca, we could get back to, what is it? We would get beat by the Spanish, or we could go further in the conference. We were all saying this exactly the same at the start with the Europa League, from missing out on the Champions League. We can go far in the Europa League. And it's like, it just seems every time we drop down, the goalpost moves slightly further down.
Well, I did hear that if you get eliminated from the Europa Conference League, you have to participate in Eurovision. So I really do not want to see Xhaka and Vardy sing along here. So
I reckon that would still be more entertaining though. Than
could you imagine?
It will still be held in Denmark probably anyway. But yeah, what I've heard again from listening briefly to Radio Leicester, they were saying that with that, they are fans of Leicester City because of one person, obviously the date Casper Schmeichel. So they do know who Leicester are. They are aware of us, and they do know. So we are going to a place that we are known, and they do want English fans to come over. But it's a 3.5 hour drive from Copenhagen, and Denmark is not cheap.
It's also the stadium only holds 10,000 fans, just over 10,000. So
they finished. I googled. They finished 5th in the Danish league. I mean, come on,
28 points.
To be fair,
there's only 12 as well. There's only 12 teams.
True. There's only 12. I didn't even know that. I would rather, and I'm sure we all would. I would rather lose against Barcelona, but have a historic tie that we can all remember. Maybe go to the home game. It would be, one for the memories. See us play against one of the best players. Yeah, I'd rather do that and lose, but see us play against Barcelona than win against Randers any day. That's just my personal choice.
Yeah.
It's hard to get excited for a team that sounds like you're playing in a preseason tournament. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were like a PES or like you're playing, eFootball before you actually add all the actual team names in. Like that's what I honestly thought at first, and then I had to Google the name. Like no offense.
It sounds like a heartburn medication. Oh, you got heartburn? Take Randers, mate. It'll sort you out.
This is gonna get clipped on like that out of context thing once they beat us and we
didn't we have like a Spartak or a Legia fan come on and be like, "Oh, you're all so disrespectful. You think you're all so good." Like,
Polish Peter Griffin once again.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them. I'm sure, I'm not trying, but let's take it objectively. You've got Barcelona and you've got Randers, and it's as simple as that. I'm sorry.
And Spartak went through, and again, shout out to the Spartak Moscow English. Oh, they had me again. I'm having a terrible day, and they brightened my mood massively with just these memeing us, and I'm like, I just feel good now. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that, is there anything? Well, actually, one more thing. Again, there's a link in the description to Joaquin, who's done one of the amazing international Fox as well. Kevin McAteer, Kevin McAteer. I don't know why I said Kevin. Casey McAteer got his first start, and I think in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's off the bench, but yeah.
Sorry, first appearance, first cap in the Premier League. Joaquin's done the whole thing down below. Make sure you click the link. Follow it. He's done phenomenal work on the under-23s work. Shout out to him. But I mean, it's nice to have that. Again, we've got lots of cams at the moment. However, it's so nice to have playing well and then the opportunity to bring on somebody that's coming through that. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was brilliant. There was a period in the game where we had 4 academy products on the pitch at once with Barnes, Dewsbury Hall, Luke Thomas, and him. So, I think that's just testament to how far our academy's come and the development. And the thing is, 3 out of 4, I'm not going to pretend I know a huge amount out of McAteer, but 3 out of those 4 players, you can make genuine claims that they will be week in, week out starters over the next year or two. So it's brilliant to see the fact that we're at a club where the youth is being given a chance, because that's something that I've always wanted to see is more local lads getting a chance. And even without that, we've got players like Hamza Chowdhury, who wasn't there, who I don't think ultimately is that level of player, but to be a squad player and filling up the bench, the fact that we've got these academy lads around the squad can only be a good thing.
No, I think so. I know, and you jump in right now. Oh, I know you got to jump. You only stay for half an hour. I don't think we'll be too much longer. I don't think we're gonna. But thanks for joining, mate. We'll see you. I'll see you soon when wherever do. We'll probably do the post match for Tottenham when whatever result that'll be.
Look forward to it. See you guys.
Nice one.
See you later.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of anything else, I mean, I've got a lot of that off my chest a little bit. Obviously, we mentioned Luke Thomas, again, great performance. Samori, I think, did pretty well. I think we've criticized a little bit Alex recently. I've been, because of like he's not looked great, but he kind of sit in again. It wasn't against a great midfield, but at the same time, they were there, and Samori did what he needed to do.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this game that he actually did what he needed to do, and I think that's what we just need from him. I think that's one of the struggles that we've had, is that, you know, we have quality, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, you know, if they can do the bare minimum of just completing what they have to do, then I got no complaints. And I think that's just something that, you know, we need to just look at, and hopefully if they come in and they can do the tasks that we, you know, signed them to do, then at the end of the day, if they can contribute that to a win, then I got nothing else, you know, nothing negative to say about them. So, you know, Samari, you know, he did exactly what he came in to do, and it was successful.
Yeah, and I think apart from that, Tom, is there anybody else we really missed? Because I think we've kind of covered it. I thought we'd have a lot more to talk about, but I think the Tottenham thing, there isn't really a lot to talk about. The Randers thing, I don't really know who they are. So it's kind of just going back to talking about Newcastle again. But I think we covered the majority of people.
I think, I was just going to say, like, Ndidi moving back to centre-back. I saw Ethan said in the comments that he's better at centre-back than at centre defensive mid. I think I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but what I would agree with is that he's one of our best options at centre-back. And actually, when you think about it, obviously we had a crisis in the summer when as soon as Fofana got injured, we were in big trouble with Evans not being fit and stuff. Looks like Evans is injured again. But when you think about it, now we've got the option to drop Ndidi back and then to bring in a Samori. And then we still have Chowdhury as well, who has played a couple of games this season and looked good. So I think that that's actually one of our better options at the moment at centre-back. Yeah, and I think exactly. We have the option to bring in Hamza or Samari into that centre defensive mid position, which just brings the question yet again of why did we sign Yannick Vestergaard? Like, it was a panic buy that we really didn't need, because when you actually think about it, Ndidi being able to play both positions and the fact that we still are using Amati as a squad player just means that we have enough cover, even with how thin our squad has been, let alone when everyone comes fit. So I'm a little bit frustrated at the Vestergaard and Bertrand signings. I don't think that they've been helpful in any way whatsoever. But I am glad that Ndidi is now an option. I just hope that Evans isn't going to be out for too long, because we still rely on him hard. And Ndidi and Sionchu, is that a long-term solution? Not for me.
No, it's a stopgap. Again, it's not supposed to be. And now we're coming into the busy run of games again. This will see what will actually happen. But one thing I was impressed with as well, Ndidi in that role, maybe because it was centre back, maybe because he was looked at as the main man, he was winning loads of. Again, we talk about set piece. He was winning the headers, the first headers. As soon as the ball's in, right, we're headering it out, and he just seemed like he knew what he was doing more there as well, because that one was, I think I really enjoyed the fact that he was like, right, we know he's good in the air. So having him as a kind of having him on in that position, just heading the ball out, it was like just a sigh of relief every single time, in my opinion, because we know Kasper's not coming for it. So he's taking advantage of that and heading it out. I mean, it's not a long-term solution, but it was just nice to see us defend that piece. We need to just second clean sheet. It's so nice to say.
Yeah, and I think, who was it? I can't remember who mentioned it on Twitter before the game, is that if we actually weren't successful in keeping a clean sheet this time, it would be 15 games. And I think the last time we did that was 2001. So that would have been going back pretty far. So I'm glad that we were able to come across and actually manage to keep that clean sheet, because honestly has seemed like forever since we've actually been able to say Leicester City have gotten a clean sheet. That's like a foreign language to me now. So, positive there. Hopefully they can, really continue on with that. And, like I said, we played Newcastle, but hopefully maybe, we can take the positives from this and go forward and, keep going, because think Ant mentioned it a little bit earlier. You know, this is the fact that we're in 8th place is still
It's a
shocking.
miracle, man.
And I think that if we can get a good run of form, in the last couple matches before the new year, that could really change the outcome of how where we'll be in the table come the January window. I don't think we're going to really do much in the window, but I guess we'll kind of see what happens with our injuries and all that, because if we need to dive in, then we do. But I definitely think that there's that opportunity that we might be able to get a little bit higher, higher in the table if we keep a solid run of form. And I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record, because there's been times that I say you need to look at the bottom of the table because of our way of playing. But I think right now, keep looking up, because you can catch a lot of those clubs right now. A lot of those clubs are struggling, and I think this is a really good time that if we get a good run of form, we could be laughing at the end of the year.
Let's hope so. Any final thoughts before we finish, Tom? Because I think we've kind of covered everything at the moment. But one thing, I'm glad we didn't get Slavia Prague, because those memes that would have been horrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's not until the whole thing's not until February now. So in my mind, I'm just sort of just forget about it. Like, sorry, we'll deal with it when it comes around. Like, for now,
Tom would rather have COVID.
I probably would. Like, there's loads of it going around, so who knows? By the time the picture comes around, I probably would have. But yeah, my main point is sort of, I know we've had a lot of false dawns and a lot of false positives, thinking, we've turned the corner. I'm not going to say that we have, but let's hope so, because we're still in position to challenge for European places, and but we need to turn it on sooner rather than later, or it's going to get too late. So let's hope that this is the start of something, but I have said that many times already.
Yeah. So it's kind of like wishing for the best, but being realistic. I think that's how it is as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for everybody that's watching, and we'll see everybody post-match for the Tottenham result, whatever that will be. Goodbye.